Especially with the way that the College Football Committee wants to rank importance of how they evaluate teams.
They don't. They want the 4 teams that they think are going to make the best story. And the best story, in their opinion, was Clemson versus Alabama 3.
Of course, obviously. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at the way that they rate these matchups when deciding these final ones, the first thing that's rated on there is the quality of wins. What was your quality of wins? Alabama has not beat anyone in the FPI top 15 this year. Anyone.
Nope.
Their best win was Louisiana State. Are you f***ing kidding me?
Mississippi State.
Okay.
Mississippi State was a top 15 team when they beat them.
Right, but they're not. We know that now.
We know they're not.
We know that, but at the time that they sat down to make the Final Four ranking, their best win of the year was Louisiana State, which, in my opinion, doesn't deserve the ranking that they even have currently. So that's their best win. When you look at Ohio State, they still had 2 wins over top 10 teams that were still in the top 10 when the rankings came out at the end. 2 wins and another win against Michigan State, which is a higher win and a better win than the LSU win.
No, you're right.
And you want to tell me that bowl championships matter? How is that going to even be a factor when one of the teams you put in there wasn't even good enough to play in their bowl type championship?
It's the same argument from last year.
But it baffles me. How can you sit here and say that this is the standard if you're just going to wipe your ass with the standard?
Again, the biggest thing that baffles me is they say wins and losses matter. There's a team that didn't lose.
Yeah, okay,
There's a team that literally didn't lose, played 4 teams that were ranked in the top 25. How are they not in? If wins and losses matter more than winning your conference, more than...
name power.
Yeah. I don't understand.
It's not going to change unless Alabama loses soundly, like in the first round.
I actually don't see it happening, but
No.
I want Alabama to lose by like 45-3.
The best thing that can happen for the rest of the playoffs is for Georgia to beat Alabama in the national championship.
That I wouldn't be against that.
That would be the best thing for expansion of the playoff because Georgia wasn't even supposed to be there.
They weren't in the top 25 when the year started.
Yeah, they were in the top 25. They were
Where?
I think they were like 22.
Yeah, they were deep.
They might have been 17 on one of the polls. They weren't that highly ranked. But Clemson, Oklahoma, and Alabama were all in the top 5 to start the year. They were all in the top 5.
Yep.
All right. So the best argument for expansion of the playoff is for Georgia to beat Alabama, the team that was almost wire to wire number 1. In my opinion, anyways.
What if they get beat in the first round though?
Who?
Alabama. Wouldn't that be an argument that they maybe shouldn't, automatically be number 1 just for, past?
I will even take Clemson beating Alabama, going up against Georgia, and Georgia beating Clemson to further the point that Alabama should have never been there in the first place. Because clearly the best SEC team got in, and they won the national title. Not only did they do that, but they were outshined by an ACC team that lost to Syracuse, and they were able to beat that team that beat Alabama. So why was Alabama invited to begin with?
I mean, I knew it was going to happen. It's SEC bias.
Yeah.
Right. But the one thing I will say, and I have to make this point, I can't I got on Twitter right after it happened because I just wanted to see if I can mine some salt from people. I didn't say anything, but I was thinking about it because I'm looking at all these comments. I'm like, this is bull. I was pissed come Sunday afternoon.
How do you think I felt last year? Penn State won their conference championship.
Yeah, well, now
and
I know
then
how you feel, so I'm
yeah,
on your
right,
now.
Right. And it's even worse because not only last year did Ohio State get in over Penn State. Penn State had the head-to-head. Ohio State didn't play in their conference championship and leaped over the team that won the conference championship.
Yes, and I can give you that argument then, and I make the argument now for the same reason. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. And now on top of it, Alabama gets rewarded by losing to Auburn to have a couple more weeks of resting their players.
Here's the thing. Alabama doesn't do that well on rest. Why do you think after their bye week they schedule cupcakes like Mercer?
Well, I guess that's true. I don't know.
And Alabama's going to have a really hard time in this game because what's the one thing that I pointed out like 6 weeks ago that kills Alabama? Mobile quarterbacks. And they're playing against Kelly Bryant, who is almost as mobile as Deshaun Watson was last year. Not as good. Deshaun Watson was like freak. Mm-hmm. Kelly Bryant's good, though. He's not Deshaun Watson, but he's mobile enough to mess with that Alabama defense. If Nick Fitzgerald at Mississippi State could almost beat them, Kelly Bryant could beat them, and probably will. But we'll get into this a little bit more after. I just want to finish this, and then I want to talk Heisman.
Okay.
All right, so the next bowl is the Outback Bowl, Michigan versus South Carolina. Who cares about that game? That game sucks. I do not want to watch it. I very rarely have I said I don't want to watch a football game, but that is one game I will make a point not to watch. You have a sloppy team that benefited from a crappy SEC that somehow got 8 wins, and Michigan team that benefited from playing a couple really bad teams and then got lucky against a couple of okay teams in the Big Ten. I mean, Dan, Beebe, and I, one time we were at UAlbany, and we watched the Michigan versus Indiana game. It took them overtime to beat a team that they should have beat in regular time, and and Indiana should have beat them. All right?
True.
The next game is the one that I am going to be the biggest fanboy ever, except for obviously Penn State. It is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Central Florida versus Auburn. I am rooting so hard for Central Florida to beat Auburn, because if they beat Auburn and they go undefeated next year, then the committee has a corruption issue.
It's going to be very difficult for them to go undefeated, especially considering the fact that they're losing their coach.
Honestly, I feel like at that level, the program builds the coach more than the coach builds the program.
You can say that, but I mean, that we're going to find out if that's the case. I think they'll still be successful, but the main reason I think they're still going to be successful is the fact that they play in a very weak conference.
I wouldn't call the American very weak.
They have UConn.
Okay, the Big Ten has Rutgers.
Right. Okay, top to bottom, you're going to sit here with a straight face and tell me you can comparatively do the American Conference to the Big Ten.
Not the Big Ten.
I can't compare the American to the Big 12, and you know my feelings on the Big 12.
I can.
Oh,
okay,
please.
okay, listen.
Please.
Memphis, South Florida, Central Florida, and Navy. We're all ranked this year.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah.
Where are they now? Who's ranked? Because it's UCF and who else?
Memphis.
Where's Southern Florida?
South Florida dropped out of the top 25 because they
Navy?
lost. Navy, I think, creeped back into the top 25.
They're not in the top 25.
They're close if they're not.
Absolutely not. That's malarkey.
Anyways, the American's a good conference. Should be the 6th power conference.
That I can admit. I can see your argument as them being the 6th power conference. But do not tell me that they belong anywhere near the top tiers with a Big Ten or SEC or ACC football.
So then do you accept this argument? Central Florida and Memphis belong in bigger conference, and they will be competitive. I think Memphis could go to the SEC and be competitive, especially against teams like Vanderbilt, Kentucky.
Yeah, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Kansas. Those kind of teams.
I think Central Florida could go to the ACC and still be ranked.
The ACC I can give you as well.
I think they can go to the ACC and make some real noise. Maybe not yet the level of a healthy Florida State or, what's it called? Clemson. But they're at the very least better than NC State.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. Navy is 6-5. Okay,
Navy's 6-5.
One win over 500.
Okay.
All right. I can give you UCF. Obviously, they're undefeated. No argument there. Southern Florida, yes, 9-2. Memphis, 10-2. But then you have Houston at 7-4. You've got the next teams are all around 500 or barely hovering there. I don't know why Navy doesn't play so many games.
What is the ACC like? Look, I'm not like challenging anything. I just want to see what their conference is like because I feel like it's 4 teams and crap.
Well, yeah, but you also have to there's an asterisk in part of the ACC in a sense. Because of the fact that Florida State team should have been better. You can't predict that they're going to lose. They're basically you're not you can't say Francois. There was no way anyone predicted him going down in week 1. That could have changed Florida State's entire argument.
Although I feel like looking at the games, if there was a game that they were going to go down, that he was going to go down, it was either going to be Alabama or Clemson. Because those are the two. NC State's got a very physical defense as well.
This is just in the Atlantic part of the conference. Clemson 12-1, NC State 8-4, Boston College is 7-3, Louisville is 8-4, Wake Forest is 7-5. That's just there.
Wake Forest is 7-5.
Yes, Florida State is 5-5, and Syracuse is at the bottom at 4-8. The other half of the conference.
Garbage.
Miami 10-2, Virginia Tech 9-3, and then you have teams that should be playing basketball.
Teams that should be playing basketball. That's a good point.
I mean, I can give you the comparison with the Big 12. That I understand because I mean, other than Oklahoma and TCU, I mean, even Oklahoma State 9-3. Okay, good, not great. But then you're coming into a hodgepodge of garbage. I mean, you've got Texas at 6-6, Iowa State at 5-7. Actually, Iowa State, Kansas State, West Virginia all at 5-7. Texas Tech at 6-6.
No, because Iowa
7-5.
I was going to say
all of them are 7-5, and then you have Texas Tech at 6-6, and then apparently just the punching bags that are Baylor and Kansas at 1-11.
1-11. Oh, that means Baylor's one win is Kansas.
And for the record, Rutgers wasn't the worst team in the Big Ten this year.
Is it Purdue?
No, it was Illinois. 2-10.
Oh, Lovie Smith's getting fired.
No, he's not getting fired.
What?
Dude, he's been there for a year.
You're right.
Fire him after
That's
a
true.
year.
You're right.
None of them are his players.
Yeah.
You expect Lovie
No,
Smith to
you're
turn
right.
it around immediately.
You're right. Anyways, let's continue on.
I don't have any ill will nor fandom towards Lovie Smith, but that's a kick in the balls. Like, I would be taking up cause to be like, Illinois, this is not a good plan.
Yeah, you don't have Juice Williams. You're not going anywhere.
Relax. I mean, pump the brakes. No one's expected anything out of you in decades.
All right. The next game is the Citrus Bowl presented by Overton's, Notre Dame versus Loser State.
Again, could be another Tropicana sponsor.
Magoo. That's another one I have no business watch. I have no desire to watch. Who cares?
Citrus Bowl. Yeah, that should be like a real lemon or something like that.
Or Sprite or Sierra
Sprite
Mist.
7-Up. Yeah. Bring 7-Up back to relevancy. Give them the endorsement.
7-3. And just a snore of a game.
I hope like it's 0-0 at the half, and the team's like, "Do you really want to go back out and play, or do you want to just hang out on the beach?"
Hang out.
I just want I want them to get into the good side of their field, not be able to produce touchdowns, send in the kicker, and then they shank everything. We're like, it's the most disappointing game ever.
We're trying to break records here,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go with an 88-yard kick.
Yeah, sure.
Bring back Tang.
Tang
Ball.
Yeah.
Tang Bowl.
Next,
which
I like
Tang
that better than
contains
that.
none of.
now we're getting into the playoff games. Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual College Football Playoff Semifinal.
Yeah. Nice.
Although
Again,
Northwestern Mutual
rolls right off the tongue.
has sponsored the Rose Bowl for a while, have they not?
Yes.
I believe they've been their sponsor.
Again, Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual College Football Playoff Semifinal is the title of the bowl game.
I'm never going to be able to get all of that out on New Year's Day.
No.
I'm gonna be
We'll just call it the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
You guys want to agree? Let's just call it the Rose Bowl?
Oh, yeah, shocker. Like,
Yeah.
That's not what everyone does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm watching for the parade. Don't give me that look. You know parades suck.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna go all Daniel Tosh with the joke about who do you choose? Parades or fireworks? Fireworks. I don't even have a joke for the people that say parade.
No, parades in general suck.